as you started to branch out and be more of like a solo thing, and if you want to get into that a little bit.
So I want to say it's around 91, right? You'd say about 91, 92, something like that. We had these regional records killing it, you know. Party Time with Jock D. We had Cut It Up Def out there. DJ Wars was a big record that Chris and I did. It was huge. There was a brother to that record, DJ Wars 2, and we got a phone call. I got a call from this kid Danny D, who was also making some great songs back then. He said, "There's a guy that's out in Santa Barbara, California, named Dave Williams. He wants to meet you and talk about doing a deal, like a record deal." I can't recall exactly how it transpired. I know there were some underlining issues going on with our records being distributed through a company, and somebody wasn't paying and all that. I can't recall the whole deal, but I ended up going out to California. I violated probation at the time because I was on probation for being a young idiot, and I went out there and I signed a record deal with Heatwave Records, and I attempted to put out a solo project. Well, I did put out a solo project and a song called "Work That Body" and a bunch of other records. And then I get back home. I'm doing shows. I remember doing a concert at Club Boca, and after I got off stage, they arrested me for violation of probation. So I went to jail for that. But that's the negative stuff. I learned a lot, you know, being in the early days of my career from Bob Smith, from all the guys at Cut It Up Def. We all went through a lot together. The studio here that I've built is it's like a childhood dream come true, because we used to do anything to get in the studio. We would work 40 hours a week, take the weekends off, and all of us would pool our money to get in Jimmy Starr's spot, Hideaway, or Bob's spot over here, and Bob Gurton, or even Oscar up in Palm Beach. We worked in his place. And what was the guy's name, man? And we worked out of Chuck. Yeah, Chuck. We recorded Party Time at Chuck's place. So, the Heatwave record thing was a great experience. I learned a lot from Dave Williams, a lot from Danny, and that really triggered some things where I wanted to be more of an artist development guy, start my own record label and be this producer. I didn't want to really be a rap artist anymore. That really wasn't my thing, so I started focusing on engineering and music production.
Pause for a second. Can we talk about your techno era? Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So leaving, well, actually with Heatwave, we did this joint venture with Selecta Hits, which was a distributor, on this project called Digital DJs, and it was kind of an electro techno house project. And so I got together with a few people I knew, like Chris, like LP, Leo Purvis, even Scott Weiser from Dynamics 2, Dave. We did this one project. I did a couple songs on there that triggered another deal with Dynamics 2 Records, and I did like a full run of like house techno records. I think it was like 3 albums of that, and it did pretty all right. I did some club dates, like raves and shit like that, DJing from here to Washington. It was really cool. And I think that a lot of my music today has all of that in it. The down south Miami bass from back when Gucci Crew were doing the slow, low tempo records, all the way up till the Uncle Al days where it was super fast, and then in the techno world, so all the synthesizers and stuff. I put a lot of that in my music today, and it's a big deal for me, Yeah.
Accomplishments of nowadays?
I'll go into another little short era of time and loss, but
Okay.
then I'll get into that.
Sure.
So around 1996, 97, I decided to start a record label with a friend of mine, Greg Marks. We call Greg BG. And you know, I had been working. I'm a DJ now. I'm working at Sears as a sporting goods salesman. I'm doing everything and anything just to make ends meet. But still loving music. I had my own little pre-production studio. So we were going to start a studio, open up a public studio, and an independent label. We called it Paper Chasers, and we signed this young artist named White Dawg. White Dawg was a white rap artist just before Eminem blew up, but he was more of a down south kind of. I think he belonged on No Limit Records, to be honest. It was that kind of vibe. We even copied some of the, the album artwork and stuff. He was directing us in like his album artwork to kind of be like that, so like the Juvenile, all that stuff. So we were following that niche, and we signed this group called Sons of Sacrifice. They helped us secure a deal with Warner Brothers, Rough Nation, and then we ended up losing that deal for various reasons. Like I said, we were learning. We just started our label, but I connected with those people up there, Kevin Glickman, Chris Schwartz, and we ended up losing a lot of money in that label venture. And from there, I moved to Philly, kind of lived in our promo van on and off, making music as an engineer and producer for Rough Nation. Did some songs for what was it? Outsiders, the group called Outsiders, Pace One, Young Z, and them. I helped pay some of the bills at my studio here, but eventually we had to close that studio, and I got offered a job at Slip and Slide Records. I had already been doing some of their mixes for Trick Daddy and Trina and them. So I got a gig at Slip and Slide. Ted Lucas hooked me up with a gig there. And from there, I was working with, Rick Ross, Trick Daddy, Trina, Deuce Poppy, Trey Six. I was doing that, and while I was doing that, I still had the hopes and dreams of having a label, so I had a joint venture with this guy, Blue Smith. Greg was still kind of involved, but he was pretty much over it because he had lost so much money in music. So, Joseph Smith, this guy Blue, his kids were the group Pretty Ricky, and so they were rappers. It started with their older brother. His name was Joe Smith Jr. He was the original Pretty Ricky. We put so much money marketing him, and we turned that money over that marketing over to the kids, and called them Pretty Ricky. It was their father's choice to do that. And this young kid named Pleasure P walks in. He's the singer. We decide to add him to the group. They write a song called Grind on Me with me and Big D. And at this point, I'm at Slip and Slide. They're not interested in the group. Everyone thinks it's a joke. No one believed in them. And they blew up. At the time they blew up, I just had my daughter in '03, my first child. And, I was at the point where I'm either going to go in real estate or this music is going to work out. So I went and got my real estate license because I wasn't really earning that much money at the time. Had a huge catalog of beats and music, but just nothing really popping. So before I decided to throw in the towel, I got with a close friend of mine named Calvin Puckett, we call Cooley C, and we opened up our own studio and started working the studio together. And I kind of left Slip and Slide for a little while there, and we opened up our own studio in Fort Lauderdale. And that went really well. We both, we made some great music together, and then Cooley ended up getting in a little bit of trouble, and we had to close the studio down. So I went from there kind of back to Slip and Slide for a little while, and I was really at wit's end at this point. I didn't know if this music was going to work out or not. I hooked up with this guy Big D. He's a really nasty guitar player, producer, and I told him, look, get with me, let's write some real music, let's try to do something. At this point, Calvin's locked up, studio's shut down, and Pretty Ricky happened upon this record that me and Big D did called Grind on Me. At the same time, around 3 weeks later, an artist named Pitbull cut to a track of mine and did a song called Damn It Man. He actually cut the record with Calvin and I in the studio, Calvin engineered that session, and we didn't know what he was going to do with it. He released it and it blew up. So Grind on Me blew up, that blew up, and Ted Lucas called me and said he had this idea. He wanted to put Trick over this one record that I had played for him a long time ago. And when I played it for him a long time ago, he told me it was too rock for Trick. It's too much. He's a rap artist. But Trick loved it. They decided to cut it. A young man named Case One wrote the chorus to it. Little John cut it. Twister featured. Let's go. So I had 3 top 10 records back to back. Pretty Ricky got signed. A lot of great things happened in that year, 2004, and then in 2005. My life changed. I won Songwriter of the Year, Producer of the Year with BMI, and things just really started to happen then.